Hey everybody, welcome to the Relume live stream. I'm your host Josh Lowe, and with me on today's stream is the other half of the Relume duo, the mastermind behind all the business deals, Dan Anisi. Everybody, all right,
Hello, everyone.
all right. Let's turn down the tunes a little bit. Okay, so last week we explored the creative side of design with Adam. In today's episode, we are going to cover the business side of running an agency. So all the pros and cons, going independent, working for yourself, and all the opportunities available if you want to create your own product. Who is this episode for? It's going to appeal more towards agency owners, big and small, those wanting to switch from a service-based business to a product-based business. So before we start, as usual, let's welcome everyone on the crowd. So we have Lucas, welcome. Walker, welcome from Bridger Bowl, Montana. Your images have been amazing on Twitter. Yeah. It's like unbelievable. Aaron from beautiful Vancouver, welcome. Sean, good to see ya. Keith, my friend, welcome. All right, Adam is in the house. Mark, welcome back. Good to see you guys. All right, guys, let us know where you're at. It's good to see our coverage here on the stream. So, okay, so we are going to cover all about Relume's journey from going from their agency, scaling it, and then we're gonna dive into how they got into product, the whole creating the product. So before we do that, I want to start a poll here in YouTube. Gonna ask you guys what roles best apply. Actually, I'm gonna turn the music now. So if you guys can check that out. There you go. Stop that. Yeah, hit up on YouTube there and let us know where you guys live, whether you're a freelancer, are you a agency owner, small, medium, or large. We want to find out who we're speaking to here. Anyways, yeah, Dan, any initial thoughts on kicking this off?
Looking forward to this one. It's always interesting, the classic agency problem of you want to build a product and you're still managing client work, or you're still having to manage the fact that you need to get cash flow and deliver on projects. So yeah, I know it's a goal and ambition of every agency to, I think, always productize some sort of service or productize something that they've got, because in the long run, that's what obviously compounds you and compounds yourself in terms of your time. But yeah, this, I think what would be interesting, like our approach is our approach, but it's more the mindset, or more it's more thinking about ways of doing things to get there. Like, you don't necessarily, like, our method isn't the right method or the wrong method. It's just how we did it in order for us to then unlock time, whether or not that was Adam to go full time into building product, which obviously made the difference in the end. So yeah, I love this space. Like this to me, the business side on and making this happen makes me so excited, because it's what actually enables us to go forward and continue to do what we do.
Yeah, super stoked for this talk. I think it's gonna be really valuable, touching on everything opposite of design, but somewhat related at the same time. Could you share with us your background? I've been told that you may not be the best Webflow designer. So
I need to clear this up just for the community knows, and just for whoever's watching. I am
confess
at Webflow building. So like, I know some guys hit me up in Slack saying, "Hey Dan, if I'm putting this here, like, what do I do?" I really don't know a lot about Webflow building from the designer side of things. So I think, though, that's, to be honest, has been one of our benefits, one of our advantages, right? Because I'm not deep into the design side of things, but then I think my understanding helps us collectively understand what needs to be done. So yeah, I'm not. My background is more in just marketing, business, sales. So your classic everything a classic just starting a startup type of skill set. So yeah, definitely not expert at Webflow design.
Okay, it's good. Good to clear that up. But I think it's great. I think you and Adam balance each other out so well. And as I'm getting to know you guys more, I think you really need those opposite skill sets to really make a perfect agency like work well. So okay, so we got the results on the poll. 58% of the people, they are running a boutique agency, so less than 5 people.
Nice.
We got 60% as solo freelancers, 16% in mid-size, so it's about 5 to 10 people, and 8% larger agencies. So good stuff, right on. Want to welcome more people in this space. Sean, we have Majestic Studios, very late in Denmark, right on. Liam, Mike from Scottsdale, nice. Kevin, good to see you, buddy. Awesome. All right, so guys, if you have your drinks and it's the right time, just relax, sit, and enjoy this conversation. We're not going to be covering websites today, but just getting into juicy conversations on business. How do you scale? So if you guys have any questions, just pop it in the chat and we will make sure we flag that. And yeah, we want to really cover as many questions as you have this stream. So, okay, great. Let me look at my notes here, but I think, yeah, maybe share with us how you started like in business. I think, were you always in like an entrepreneur? I think I read a little bit about your story. Yeah, I think like you studied one thing in university and then or working at a job and decided to kind of like quit that and start this whole thing. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about your
Yeah,
early days?
yeah. I did the classic go to university to make sure my mum didn't get upset. So I did an economics degree, but I think during that time it was pretty clear to me that yeah, there was more to. I wasn't that interested in it in terms of the theory side. I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very practical person, so whether or not that's entrepreneurial or whether or not that's just the way I learn, I like to learn by doing. So
Right.
instead of doing, I finished the degree, but instead of doing that, I want to learn more about this business, like just selling T-shirts and starting off selling T-shirts, and that was turned into what it did, turned into something bigger than I thought. I ended up
Nice.
scaling up a T-shirt company with retail stores and shopping centers, so it grew to more than what I could have expected. But as quickly as it grew, it also exploded at the same time because I had no idea about inventory management. I was managing logistics overseas in China, so I had to go back and forth. I was 21, so I had no idea
Wow.
I was doing. It was during uni, so cool experience.
Amazing.
But like I said, I really love to learn by doing, and that kind of just planted the seed of like, wow, this is cool. Like I can just pick something and do it and learn from that experience. So
Wow.
that to me, I find is the most exciting rush I could get. I guess playing sport growing up, I needed another rush. I needed another hit. So business
That's
was like the
awesome.
sport.
So you were making trips to China and
Yeah, yeah. I was turning on with
wow,
a friend, with my business partner Juan. We were from school friends, and we would fly back to China, and we had no idea.
that's
We would just
insane.
rock up and use Alibaba as like our directory, and then do factory
Okay.
tours, and then we figured out how to make t-shirts. But what we would do actually, we'd go into Uniqlo or go into Zara
Mm.
in China, take the blocks, so
Yeah.
small, medium, large, XL, and then that was like how we knew how to do it. So yeah, it wasn't very intuitive, but it got the job done.
Wow. That's amazing. I wanna dive into like the mindset because I mean it takes a lot of bold like courage and boldness just to like go into or like set up that business, let alone go into China. I'm pretty sure you're not fluent in Mandarin or anything and they don't speak a lot of English there. So like it
Nah,
takes a lot of balls to just do that. Like
yeah,
yeah, like is that your personality? Like yeah.
it's like it's more of, yeah. Like I guess so, yes, but it's also you do need some balls to do it, but it's more just
Like let's have fun. Let's just go
yeah,
for it.
like what do you got to lose type of thing, you know? Like it sounds
Mm,
like this could be fun. This sounds like it could be fun. I could learn, and it sounds like I could go to another level, and that's
mm,
always like the most. intriguing thing to me. That's why, yeah, every decision I pretty much has done is based on that.
Adam says that defines Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. Okay, cool. And then right, so you met up with Adam. We know part of that story. But yeah, like how, and you guys have an agency together. You're figuring the systems out. So how did that kind of unfold and then grow?
Yeah. So from that, obviously, we had our story from our tech company, the Phoenix clothing morphed into a tech. And then from that, that's when I met Adam. And then after that, we went lucky to get acquired and sell to a company in Germany. Then we came back. We came back and we wanted to do something. And then the best thing, and this is why I love agency, and this is, I guess, the biggest, I think, one of the best insights for today, is that we decided to start an agency purely for the reason to gain more insights in more companies or gain insights into um, other spaces. But what's cool, we never expected, we thought we'd gain experience in, I don't know, learning about cleaning tech because we built it for a website, like we built it for a cleaning company. But we didn't realize, and this is like the whole part of just having a crack, we didn't realize we'd learn more insights about the Webflow community and the web and the way people use Webflow. Like we never anticipated that. So we started the agency purely to gain more insights. And in my opinion, I think when you want to build product, starting an agency has to be the best way to do it because you maintain your cash flow. So you're not desperate. And you also get so much insights and little, like you dig little holes into all these different little companies that you work with. And you see how a medical tech, you see crypto, you see a little bit of this, you see a little bit of that. And then, yeah, you build a really cool bank of insights that you cannot really get without being almost like a VC, to be honest. Because what happens in agency stuff when they pitch, well, they don't pitch when we get on a sales call.
Right.
They're telling me all about their business. Like they're pitching it to me.
Right.
Like I'm being a VC because they have to give you the download. This is my tech startup. This is what we're doing. This is our MVP. This is what we think. So you're literally getting VC the pitches to you daily. Like that's insane.
Wow.
For nothing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to give them money. They give you money.
And you've already been exposed to like kind of VC pitching through your accelerator program, so you kind of know that, right?
Yeah.
Like from that one side of investor pitching, but then now they're kind of like pitching in a different way.
Yeah, 100%. We learned that when we did Antler. So, and I pitched Lumio, the other business startup we had, to every single VC in town. So I know what you need to say. So the fact that I was getting these, I guess, semi pitches to me, it was just really really insightful, and it's exactly what we needed at that time to get more insights and just to kind of reset ourselves after we had almost a 3-4 year slog with Lumio. So it was deep insights. Like we went deep into that stuff. So for us to come out and then be able to just kind of put ourselves into something different and just like learn about different things. Only again, that's just from my experience. Everything I say is always just from my experience. But yeah, that's being an agency. I don't think there's really any other way to kind of do it besides reading about obviously companies. But yeah, to get pitched to and get told to about different insights, it's really insightful.
Okay, so at this point, was it just you and Adam? What was the structure like of your agency, and like what were the challenges that you guys facing? Although this is great, you're getting a lot of insights from all these companies.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. So it's Adam and I own it. So how the structure worked, we would both be closing. So Adam would get on the call as well and be like both of us at the same time. But yeah, we'd both be getting on the sales calls. Sorry, and then I would follow him up, do the sales piece, and then Adam would be doing the actual work. And then quickly you learn after 2 or 3 websites, you've hit your capacity, or you've hit the point where Adam and I was complaining a lot, saying like, we're not learning shit now. Like this is now we're just doing work. Now we're just doing way too much work. Like Adam, what are we doing here? And it was interesting because it got to the point where you get really caught up in the micro side of doing the work for clients, because you want to also deliver a good work, right? You can't just hack it. Like this is when my hacking just like mentality or just kind of get it done doesn't really work, because in the end of the day, if you don't deliver on a website, you're not going to get paid. So
Hmm.
yeah, my approach doesn't necessarily work in that instance. So it needed deep thought, it needed deep work from Adam's side. So, but look, in the end, it worked out well, because what we learned, and I think Adam tweeted this about before, and it's really true, that those initial projects that you do, even though you charge them 5 grand, you have to do it like a 40 grand website.
Hmm.
You have to approach it and give it the 40 grand website mentality, because those initial projects you put in the portfolio make all the difference. Just like completely separate you from the rest. We were even trying, or I didn't tell Adam, I was even trying to do big companies' websites for nothing. So down in Australia, we've got this Mexican fast food chain called Guzman y Gomez, which I'm
Yeah,
obsessed with.
so good.
All right. Oh, is it in
No, but
Canada
I've
now?
been there and
It's in,
I've
yeah,
had
oh
it.
yeah.
I've had it.
So I love it, right?
Yep.
So I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna go and email the guy from marketing and say,
Nice.
we'll build you a website for nothing. They, for some reason, they turned it down, because they said they had someone internally doing it already. But the point is that I was willing to go to that length to get a
Mhm.
portfolio, because I knew it would
Okay.
cost you obviously time, but
Yeah.
the return would be like 100, 200 grand worth of projects.
Mm.
So it's definitely the portfolio thing that we learned earlier piece is really important. But yeah, at the start, Adam and I just slogging through. I was very heavily involved in account management. Adam was pretty much in the weeds. And then from that structure, though, that's when we started to then get people underneath working with Adam from a design point of view, or from a,
Okay.
no, sorry, not from a design, more from a Webflow build point of view. So this is when we started to say, okay, cool. Well, this is a business 101. You have to now get someone to build so you can go do something else.
Scale your
So
production,
yeah,
right?
that's when we started to just have a little bit more insights into say, okay, well, we can't build every single Webflow project, but we can start at least handing over the Webflow dev
Mm.
side of things. That's a little bit more linear in terms of what needs to be done. Like there's no ambiguity there. So yeah, we started doing that, and then it naturally we get more ambitious, and we want to continue to level it up as more and more projects come in.
Okay, so when you pitched and reached out to, was it Guzman and Gomez? Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Their office. What did Adam think? And like, because you seem to be the guy to like, let's just aim for the top. Let's just like gun it.
I never told him. I never
Oh,
told him.
oh, okay, right, okay,
I don't think so. I don't think
okay,
he's still. I know. I think I told him after they said no,
yeah,
but I pitched to them,
okay,
and I usually like to come to Adam with like
okay. If there
me
are,
personally. I like to come with like this is the. It's called. We learned it in Phoenix Clothing. It's called Order the Chinos, right? So the theory is that when we ordered in Phoenix, we ordered 1,000 pairs of chinos, right? And we got it back to Australia, and we're like, shit, we got 1,000 pairs of chinos. How do we sell it? But
okay,
we worked it out, right?
yeah,
So we figured it out. That's when we built retail stores. We got distribution. It worked because we
uh,
had only because we had the 1,000 chinos. If we didn't
okay,
have 1,000 chinos, we wouldn't have thought of those cool distribution channels. So
uh-huh,
yeah, my mentality, and it sometimes puts us a little bit in the hole, but
yeah,
it also gets us ahead, is order the chino. So
mm,
my thinking behind the Guzman Gomez website is order the chinos. If we get it, we'll deal with that problem once we get it, and we'll
right.
figure it out. But I know we'll grow from it.
Interesting. Okay, guys, in the comments, let me know what you think about Dan's strategy here. I think there is a huge benefit to that for sure. It's like there's a saying, throw your hat over the fence, right? And then you'll be forced to just like figure things out, right? Or
Burn the
maybe
ships.
you do it systematically and calculative and careful. So that's you obviously had a higher risk tolerance, right? So that's great. Loved it. Um, I forgot to mention this episode's all about the Relume Flywheel. So what is that? It's basically, yeah. If you want to explain that in a nutshell, Dan.
Yeah, look, the flywheel pretty much only worked out after we've started, but pretty much what it encompasses now is incorporating both, well, how both the Relume roster and the Relume library work with each other. So the Relume roster is our way of now delivering agency work. and the roster is, and the library obviously is the Relume library, the components. But what's really cool about the Flywheel is that we keep our eyes on the ground in terms of what the job to be done. So from the roster, and the guys in the roster use the Relume library. When we use the Relume library, we gain more insights and we make the Relume library better. When we make the Relume library better, that means we feed it back to the roster, and then the roster knows, okay, cool, yeah, I've been able to improve our processes for clients in 1, 2, 3 examples. So then we're constantly cycling it through this feedback loop to be able to then make both the agency process a lot better, so the builds a lot better, and we can see it firsthand that, oh wow, like this is actually improving agency builds. Like, so we're not just building a library and saying, here you go, agencies and freelancers, use it. This is the library. We know exactly what is actually being used and how it's being used. So you can probably obviously tell just from the way we've built the product, it's built from an agency freelancer perspective. Like that's our persona. That's who we are. So we are building it for who we are. But the cool thing is that we're still constantly rinsing it through that flywheel, so it gets even better and better over time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it because I feel like you guys have really encompassed like the whole life cycle journey of even like from a typical solo freelancer who then realizes, okay, I just want to start my own agency, and then from there the agency scales, and then you start and then when you scale too much, you want to eventually delegate the task, and so then you built the roster, and then from there you've just switched like, okay, well, enough agency work, like let's save our time and go from a service-based design or service-based business to products, right? Let's build products. So yeah, I think, and you shared in episode 1, I think it just made sense for you guys. It was like you guys took that calculated risk. It was a low risk to like build out the library and see if it's, stuck on the wall. And obviously that really helps. So what's like the breakdown now of like your time with agency work versus the library or like product?
Yeah. So where we're at now is that pretty much majority of us, so it's Slater, myself, and Adam. So now it's a team of 3 in terms of full-time. 2 out of 3 are full-time. So Adam and Slater full-time into the library, and I've probably got myself 50-50 on roster and library. So we've pretty much, then I guess company-wise, Relume is pretty like a 70-30 split. Currently, we're 70% into the library and 30% doing agency work through the roster. So like I was saying before, we're continuously still doing roster work, agency work, because it's still improving the library at the same time. So yeah, the more and more that we I think, and for the unforeseen future, I think we're definitely going to be continuing that, because it's
okay.
Yeah, it's just really helps us in the long run make the library even better.
Right. That's awesome. Do you think you would ever leave agency work if like, the library and the product kind of like sustained itself, and then obviously like it's just grown,
No,
and there'd be more people feeding into it?
no. So what I think the future of the roster will be just more automated and systemized. I still love the space, and I think that they play well with each other in terms of the audiences. So no, I think we'll definitely in the long run continue to continue to do agency work, but just look at small other ways to continuously improve the process, and that's like what helps. I think that just continuously improving the process and making the agency work better, but learning to automate the agency as well, or learning to make processes in the agency a lot more effective, can also have other results or other impacts in other sides of our business. So that's why it's always good to still continue to stay into it, because we just don't know what other insights it could lead us to as well.
Gotcha. So for those who are interested in even like, they're at agency level now, they want to scale, they want to like get that pool of like talent. How did you guys, what some advice would you give? If, like, how do you like slowly collect those good talent? Cause I'm sure it takes time. It's like people management, and that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, look, the good thing about, well, the harder thing about this side of the roster is that you can't, again, put the Dan approach and just hack it. It needs time, because time reveals quality. But I guess first, like before that what the biggest thing we had is that when back to Adam and I doing agency work and then having people underneath us, what we learned from that experience is that accountability and ownership is a big thing. So when we would be the face of the project, do the work for the client, and then the client would and then we would have two guys underneath Adam doing the Webflow builds or the design, and they weren't client facing. It would always, all the time, make the project a lot more lengthy, and the process just not as efficient. So we kind of thought to ourselves. So this is where the kind of the originations of the roster thought came from. These insights is that, so okay, we get more people to do the work with us, but then if they're not client facing, they don't give a shit as much. So they're not as attentive, and they're just working with Adam. So they're like, yeah, whatever, Adam. Oh, okay, yeah, no worries. And they're not as I guess onto it as much.
Yeah.
So then what we thought is, all right, cool. Well, there's two things that we need to do here. There's that we need to not only say, Adam, like I remember saying, you're not allowed to work on client work. You're just, we have to make a company ban. Like we have to be true to each other, saying you're not allowed to work on client work, which it did. We slowly phased it off. But what we thought was like, well, instead of getting Adam, hey, this is your design, or this is what we're going to do in a discovery, the guys that we need to get involved in our team, which we started to call the roster, need to be client facing. They need to be client facing and show accountability and show face to the client, because then it just makes them have more ownership of the project. So that was the step where, and to be honest, it's what's crazy is that it actually ends up being a lot more efficient for the client as well, in terms of actually getting through the phases of client work, right? So instead of having multiple teams, the account director, the designer, the developer, I strongly believe if you can learn to, obviously, if you're good at design and can do build, it's a lot more effective to take that project from 0 to 1 than to have different phases and stages of handover. I know obviously that impacts from a scale point of view, but then what we thought was like, well, okay, well, we can just scale that. So we thought, okay, well, let's only get the guys in our roster who can do 0 to 1.
Okay.
Manage client design and Webflow build, because in the long run, that makes projects a lot more effective, because we've learned from that. And client facing. So like myself, I stay in the Slack channel, but I don't necessarily get involved in any client account management, set up calls, set up meetings, or just, I guess, get involved in like design feedback. So that complete handover then unlocked so much time in terms of just time back, and that's when only then were we were able to then work on the library. That was the single point where we said, okay, cool, now we can actually build a product. And I think that's our approach from going from agency to product. But I think there's still other ways where we use the roster. So the roster pretty much is getting one person accountable. Now we're also looking to getting two people team up if the projects are bigger.
Okay.
But two people team up and get introduced to the client.
And do you oversee that, or you just trust those two to just work
yeah,
together?
No. Take
really hands off.
So
wow.
I give them full ownership of the projects, and they're under the Relume Slack. They're under the Relume brand, and they have a Relume email. So all communications through Relume, and at the end of the day as well, we also share our portfolio. So like you can put on your portfolio, we can put on our portfolio, but it's a perfect partnership in my opinion for us. We close the projects as well. So it's a Slack group. So we get the projects.
Right.
We close them.
Because you have the brand, right? You have the face of the company.
Yeah, well, we're still getting leads, right? Like naturally, as you build the library, you build brand. As you build brand, you get more client leads. So then we're kind of, I still close the leads. So that's my, I guess, agency work. And then once we close the leads, they get passed over, full ownership from the guys in the roster. But then, the client gets access to talent from across the globe. So I can get calls from US, I can get a call from Europe, and we'll be able to serve them, and Australia as well.
So
and then also, they get range of talent, right? They get some cool talent to work with. And it's just
Very
I guess
cool.
our way of solving the agency, it's our way of solving how we do agency. It's how we do agency. It's how Relume does agency, and so far it's worked pretty well for us. It still allows us to maintain cash flow, which is important in a startup, but then it's also allowed us to then have full-time people and siloed. So like we break up Relume in the roster of the library. So then we have Slater and Adam full-time in the library to build product.
Right.
Yeah, you couldn't do that without doing an agency, without then making a roster and then Relume library. So it was all done in stages.
So cool. Yeah. Penny said, "Hey, Penny, letting good people work directly with the client is a good approach. I think that takes a lot of trust. And I think that speaks a lot to you guys,
learning.
right? And learning, yeah. But you really have to like slowly relinquish control, and then, like you said, finally give them that ownership. Can you talk a little bit about that process of like,
Okay,
because I'm sure like when your
because
reputation's on the line, you really want to
Adam
like
has an opinion on because Adam
hey,
has an opinion on this one too.
if Adam's watching
And he can't say anything now.
Oh,
so what happened? So what happened is that again I took the Dan approach. I was like fuck
the
it,
Dan approach. I like that.
We're going to introduce them directly to the client. I'm not going to like that's it. He's like, man, you like, what about their process? Like, what about this? I was like, I don't care. Worst case, again, I did the China like the same approach I had when I was.
Let's go to China. Let's go.
I don't care because I know in the end, worst case, Adam, we'll learn if that guy that we work with or girl that we work with is good.
Yep.
And the worst case, you jump onto the project and you sort of like that's our worst case. So we can never really get done. You know, do you know what I mean? So it might, the client might not like that person or not like working with that freelancer. Big deal. We just say, oh, that freelancer's off the project and now Adam's on. So
right.
My always approach is like, if your worst case is not that bad, just do it. Because then on the other side, you learn so much and you're able to just get to a level now, which I didn't think was possible, but it is. It's pure just a subcontracting business, but kind of painted up with a little bit more branding and a little bit more ownership behind it, and a little bit more systemized. And again, as much as the systems I'm talking about is Slack and Google Meet. So
that's so good.
I like to keep it simple. Obviously, we're making more and more things to make it more systemized over time and more consistent. But it takes a lot of trust. But then my thinking is that if they do pull it off, I'm more of an optimist. So like there's a 70% chance this person will pull it off, 30% chance they'll fuck. So 70% chance that they'll pull it off. I'm happy to run with that. And then if that's the case, then we can repeat that. And then that means I'm able to then get that same person to do another 4 projects and not even care one bit. So like I'm willing to take the 70-30 bet.
Adam says Dan
to be able to get that person. But that's what you need, and I think that's another tip for agency stuff, or like that's another tip if you want to build product in an agency. The co-founder model, or like having a different sort of mindset. Like if Adam and we were both in design, right? We would care so much about the projects that we did in agency work that we would never really get out of it, right? So we would be so deep into making sure chiropractic and stage glass were done so well, which is what you actually need to deliver on an awesome portfolio. So there's nothing wrong with that. But because you have so much empathy and care a lot in design, you end up getting so caught up in those 3 projects, you end up doing nothing else. So I think what's really, like if anyone has an agency and they're more on the design side, I would 100% recommend finding someone on more of the business side, because it just helps you pull out of like the micro side of things, have a little bit of a top level think, then go deeper again. But it would significantly improve your chances of, if this is your goal, having someone more on the business side, design side, will significantly improve your chances of building a product whilst doing an agency model.
That's awesome. I love how you really do bring not just risk, but it's calculated risk. You're like, okay, you plan it out. You're like, worst case scenario, it's not that bad, so let's just go for it. And then that kind of like sets the stage of your decision, right? It's like, okay, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but like the worst case, it won't be that bad. So let's just try it. It's great. I think not a lot of people can take that leap. And that's really good advice. Um,
it's not just agency life. It's also personal life, Josh.
yeah.
Everywhere. It's like,
Hopefully it's worked out for you more than it hasn't.
yeah. Well, but it's been fun along the way, so I don't really care in the end.
Mark is asking, do you run as a remote or local agency? Are you mostly in Australia, or you guys are
So
going international now?
yeah, so the library side of things is all here, local. Adam, me, Slater, all in Sydney.
Hmm.
Agency side, all for the roster, all remote. So
Okay.
in
And that was from the
Australia, we're
beginning.
Adelaide. Sorry.
That was since the beginning. It
Yeah,
just went
yeah.
all.
It's just natural. Like you can't recruit just Sydney Webflow developers,
Hmm.
nor is it any beneficial to have them in our area for agency style work. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's Sydney, Singapore, Europe, and Canada.
Okay.
Montreal
Oh, cool.
time zone. So that helps with the US time zone.
Right.
Europe, all same time zone majority, and then Australia and Singapore, like the APAC time zone.
Okay.
So we've kind of got all three main time zones sorted.
That's awesome. And do you have clients from Singapore as well, or like mostly from Australia?
Oh, I've had leads. No, but
Yeah.
most of the clients is at the moment for the roster is US. It's US
Oh,
for the
US.
library
Okay.
and US for
Got it.
agency work as well. So
Okay.
that's the yeah,
Nice.
that's pretty much
Okay.
where it's
Cool.
at. We're gonna move to the US soon or Canada. It's easier for
Yes.
us, Canada.
Oh man, I would love to be living in Australia again. I loved it. Okay, let's see here. I got some other questions. Oh, Aaron wants to know, can you share what was the biggest disagreement you and Adam has had?
Oh,
I don't
name
know if
them
you can
shit.
disclose that.
This week, Aaron, or or like,
So
no,
all the
look,
time.
it's there's no real like one pivotal disagreement. It's just constant, not constant. It's just a healthy debate of like open-mindedness. Like we're always challenging ourselves
Mm,
ever since we first started working with each other. So it's just a healthy challenging, and it's not personal. Leave it on the field. So because it makes Relume better, and Relume is bigger than both of us. So the biggest disagreement, yeah, like it's I don't know. There's not really. I think
nothing too
actually no.
major,
There's
hey?
one early days. Early days. There's an early day one that we had a massive blow up, like where I just classic. This is pure agency world where I wanted to. So we wanted to do a retainer, and
Hmm.
I said we. I want. I wanted to use WordPress websites.
Oh no.
I wanted to put and host them on my big cPanel like hosting box, whatever it's called. And then I wanted to like only pay $30 a month for that, right? But then I wanted to charge $30 hosting for every single client that came on a month because I only had one cost. So my cost of good was $30, and I could get 10 clients paying me $30 for
Right.
hosting because I could reuse our WordPress hosting from. So yeah, and then no, he disagreed with that because there was a dumb idea building on WordPress, and
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I have been challenged on that, and I'm glad that we challenge each other because I just thought about the cash and he thought
Hmm.
about the future in
Mm.
that instance. So
Yeah.
it's that was one of the biggest ones, but yeah, in the
That's so
end,
good.
leave it on the field and we work it out.
Yeah, Penny says there are three parts to a business: product, finance, and marketing. Many people can do two of the three, but it's nearly impossible to do all three well. So you got to find the person who fills your gap. Yeah,
100%. Yeah,
totally.
you're right. But like it won't necessarily ruin you. Like it's not like you'll not be successful.
Hmm.
It just improves the chances of your success. It just might speed up the chances of you being successful. So
Hmm.
if I did an agency by myself, I'd probably still be hacking developers or designers and trying to get some quality together. And I don't think I would have got the portfolio that we have today. If Adam was doing agency, he'd probably be still stuck doing awesome websites, but just stuck in the website world of just building really good websites for these clients. So and eventually we would have worked out and maybe built a product. But so we
Mm.
probably would have still we probably there's still a chance we would still get to where we got today. But teaming up just obviously made it a lot more quicker and
Hmm.
probably better. as well. So
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you don't have to, but it does improve your chance. Again, working on probabilities. So
Yeah.
if you want to build a product, higher probability of it being teaming up.
I love like so before we going on air, we're talking about an example where you wanted to charge per page. And that was like a business strategy you wanted to go with. And then Adam was saying, no, that's probably kind of, not as user friendly or UX wise. And so I think it's a good
Yeah.
balance, right? Like you have the business in mind for like finance, bringing in cash flow, and then Adam's more on the experience side. So yeah, like talk me through that or like
Yeah,
some
well, I guess
examples.
I guess yeah, that's an example. Yeah, the per page model is a pure example, and I think I mentioned on Twitter yesterday. It, from the design side of things, he's 100% right, and I still think it is 100% right. You need to, in order for you to do value based or like just do time based, the most optimal way to build a website, the most optimal way, is to say to the client, I will do a discovery, I'll figure out what your actual goals are,
Mm-hmm.
and then the pages will be a reflection of what your actual goals are for your website or what you need to get across to the persona.
Okay.
Okay, so that's in theory 100% the right way to do it. Problem with that is that it's very hard to predict, how much time you put into that and the effort required to get to that end goal.
Mm.
So creating wireframes and UX wireframes, and then that defines a set number of pages is a stage in itself. So it just added another layer of complexity
Mm.
to the pitch, which I then turn on to the other head and turn the other side, and I say to myself, okay, cool. Well, how much extra incremental value does that actually bring to the client? And it, it I believe it's marginal, in my opinion, of just doing per page, because I feel like if I'm able to do per page, I know, yeah, sure, I don't get the optimal amount of pages that they actually need,
Mm-hmm.
but it ends up being like 2 or 3 pages difference in the end, in the long
Mm-hmm.
run. So I feel like then shifting to the per page model from the roster point of view as well, it allowed me to define scopes a lot more effectively,
Mm.
um,
It's a
and
metric
have
to
a
measure, right?
clear, yeah, have a clear
Okay.
understanding of what actually needs to be done,
Yeah.
and also put the onus on the client,
Mm-hmm.
to know what they need to do, but also limit scope creep,
Mm-hmm.
and know that, okay, cool. If you want to chuck in a about us out of the scope, that's cool. Contact Dan and we'll revisit it. So
Mm-hmm.
that also helps. But then also from like the back end side, the business side, the pitching, right? When I pitch, value based or just
So
time
yeah,
based,
do you guys do
it
value-based
was
pricing?
no. Oh
No.
well, I think the
Uh,
definition of, if I'm wrong, I think what we do is per page at the
okay.
moment. So if I were to do a pitch for like that whole other process, I would have to create a unique pitch. I would have to estimate how much time I would do for a workshop for
Mm.
UX wireframes, and I've really got no idea, because we did used to track our time
Mm-hmm.
initially with the agency, and we ended up getting paid like $10 an hour, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like in the end. So it just blew out way too much in terms of what we price and what we actually time invested into it. So
Hmm.
yeah, also from a pitching side of things, if you're going to be doing 10 pitches a week, as an
Mm-hmm.
example, you need a little bit more of a systemized approach to it. Otherwise, if you're doing a custom proposal every single time for these clients, it takes a lot of energy and effort. And
Mm-hmm.
then emotionally, you're like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to make this a lot more than it should be because I'm putting so much effort into this proposal. And
Right.
it ends up being more expensive sometimes for the client. Whereas I have a systemized way to
Okay.
understand per page and then design complexity. And then I can say about, home, features, contact, and I know how many reusable components from our experiences from
Mm.
previous projects.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be like, just an example, 4K for a page, but I know that on for the home, but then I know for about, I'll be reusing 20% of the components, so then it's
Mm.
probably 3,200 for about. So it decreases depending on how many reusable components we think we will be doing.
Yeah. I
But that
like
has
that.
allowed me to scale out proposals like bang, 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 next, 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 next. And then it just really helps also give the client a clear understanding. Oh, they've done a 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand proposal. This is
Mm.
how they got there. They just didn't chuck out a number, because then they start, and if you do hours
Well,
and like
yeah.
they
So
start
so have you
tracking
had
your hours,
pushback?
and I'll be like, sorry,
Have you ever get pushback from clients on like pricing
not
per
on
page?
page.
Never,
No, no, no,
never.
never. But if I did hours, they're like, oh, you said 20 hours for this, but
Uh-huh.
did you spend 20 hours on UX? I'm like, oh,
Interesting.
was it really? Like, I don't want to go into detail. That just like
Okay,
takes up too much time and energy. So
that's
yeah,
good. Good insight.
that is 100%. In my opinion, helped us so much.
It's interesting because like back when I was doing engineering, we would my consulting company were actually charged like we would our product was the engineering drawing package, but they would charge per page. So it was about like 2 or 300 per page or so. And so yeah, I guess this is applied same way digitally on websites. That's really cool.
It helps. It helps, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it just also justifies your the pricing as well.
Yeah.
And the other hot tip is that you send it with a loom. I've said it before, and I'll always say it every time. Every time you do a proposal, send it with a loom.
Yeah.
Or send a loom, and in the loom, add the call to action to the proposal to download it. So put your proposal in a Google Drive, make it a link, and then add it as a call to action in the loom. So they have to watch your loom
Mm,
to then click on the
nice.
proposal and download it.
I love it. That's good. Yeah, my big job I landed was because I proposed with a loom, and it was like super engaging. They kind of know the context. It's like it's kind of hard for them to say no. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
it's justified, and that's what they want. They just want to know how they got there, and they can't really argue with your per. Like once you've set your per page price, that's it. That's your per page price. Like that's what
Hmm.
we do. So it's hard to kind of argue on that one. And again, it's all about those micro little moments add up and compound. So the more you can scale up these smaller processes, being an agency, because time is money, guys. Like time is so much money. So the more you can just systemize these little things to save 20, 30 minutes here, that adds up to like 4 hours in a week. That adds up in the long run. So
Hmm.
yeah, these small little things help to just get more cash coming through. In a day, we need cash coming through, and we need to then also be closing awesome projects.
Yeah, it's really neat, like how you want to price your projects, whether it's by like project base or per page or yeah, you want to do value based or like impact based. That's very intangible. It's very yeah, really really interesting. But I do like how you're all yeah like systematic, very easy, and there's no debate. There's no argument behind it. When you explain it, it makes sense. I love that.
Exactly. And we don't want to spend our time not arguing, but like going back and forth with clients and justifying. We just need them to
Yeah.
understand that's the way it works.
Mark is asking, do you want to take this question, Ashley?
How are you guys managing Webflow hosting? Ah, at the start. So we transfer to their Webflow account. So
Okay, nice, nice.
we don't deal with client billing or anything like that.
So good.
I had the crack at trying to charge client billing a long time ago, but one, they got rid of it, and two, it's just easier to transfer it to them, so you're not managing their Webflow projects.
Okay, so then you walk them through to like create their own Webflow account and then
Yeah,
just
yeah. So
build from there.
what we'll do sometimes if they don't have their own Webflow account, we'll just create one for them. We'll just create an alias email and then transfer our project there, and then pretty much build it in there, transfer it, just give them access to it and say that they can change the email whenever they want in order for them to, get access
Mm.
to their Webflow project. But yeah, they pay for the billing.
Maintenance. Do you guys have a strategy around that? Do you guys offer maintenance, or once you hand it off, you're like, no, I don't want to touch it, you know?
Yeah, the library. If you want to build any more, go use the library. But
Yeah.
no, I think what I try my best to do is I don't necessarily like to do Webflow on demand work, but if they need, our maintenance model is pretty much another small project. So it's just a batch project
Okay.
done
Okay. So
based
it's
on
time bound.
10.
Nice.
Yeah. So like if they
Nice.
need, and then I'll do 1 day increments minimum of small tasks. I don't want to get caught up in the small day to day tasks. It just doesn't it's not profitable and it takes up too much of your time.
Nice. Okay, cool. Kevin, yep, he's all for per page pricing. Really good stuff. I got an older question from Kevin. He says, I think, oh, wait, hang on here. Are people on the roster white labeling through Relume as contractors? What's the split if there are? And then I think he said, he answered the last question. Would you be comfortable sharing the split between roster?
Yeah, so with this, yeah, I do share with them. So it ranges from 20 to 30% depending on how much sales work I have to
Nice.
do. So
Mm,
if it's a larger project and the sales cycle is 2 months, then it's higher. And if it's quick, easy, designed to Webflow or just like a Webflow build and I close it in 3 days, then it's lower. So it really depends, Kevin, based on the project turnaround. Yeah, and the fact that we're closing, right? They're closed. So you do zero sales. You just say, I want it or I don't want it. So it's pretty much you walk in and get to pick and
cool.
choose projects that you want to get involved in.
That's awesome. Love it. Pat says, I've seen a couple of other component libraries begin to pop up lately, Webflow included. Yeah, this was this like today or yesterday? Is
Yeah.
healthy competition beneficial for Relume ultimately?
Yeah, look, of course, like okay, there's two types of competition, I guess. There's competition outside of Webflow, and then there's Webflow as competition. Now, the competition outside of Webflow is incredibly healthy. Obviously, that just helps us make our product better. I love it. I enjoy it. It's again taps back into my sport days of competing
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, that makes you a better athlete or makes you a better company. So
Hmm.
competition is good. Now with Webflow doing it, yeah, look, that's a little bit more of a um, uh, kind of yeah, it's different. It's a different type of competition, but look, whatever they do, we just got to work alongside them and hopefully
Hmm.
complement what they do. And I think one thing I think Webflow really knows though is the power of community.
Hmm.
And well, I guess the community creates awesome products. So I don't think Relume's in the business, Webflow's in the business of just removing community products.
Hmm.
So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But as of right now, we can't predict something that we don't know about. So
Yeah,
just got to keep focusing on what we do, make it the best, focus on the job to be done, build out what we need to get doing, and just, and hopefully things work themselves out.
for sure. Aaron, he didn't know Webflow had their own. I guess we shouldn't be advertising this
Yeah,
for other
no,
people.
no, no, no. Look, it's what I honestly think what they're doing, and I do believe this is probably the smartest way to go. We got Webflow templates, right?
Hmm.
And then in Webflow templates, Webflow creates some templates
Hmm.
to kind of show you, okay, cool, this is the template marketplace, this is a template. So I strongly believe components are the way of building in the future.
Hmm.
So how people, like we've learned at Relume, people will be using components to build in the future. Now, for that instance, that means Webflow would most definitely probably be moving into the Webflow marketplace for
Hmm.
components, which then means, hey, this is the creator of the 34 components. This is in their best interest to show people we're going to start introducing components as a way to build.
Hmm.
Okay, that plants the seed in the designer, and then after that, I don't know, they build a component marketplace which includes awesome libraries like Relume, Flowbase, and other guys who are building component libraries.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Do you want to talk about like the insights learning like transitioning into product, like from service based business to product based? Like, how different is that? Did you take a lot of what you've learned from previous startups and like ported it into this? Because I'm sure it's a totally different like business model and approach.
Oh yeah, for sure. Agency, um, I guess sales and agency client management is a whole different beast from creating SaaS software where you're
Hmm.
getting subscribers and obviously managing it all through a Slack or email. So complete different business model. But I think we've been lucky enough to have worked in startups or I've worked in I've worked in many different types of startups, especially with Lumia. So I've got a good understanding of what needs to be done. But in the end, it's just breaking down not departments, but just breaking down roles, right? In terms of
Hmm.
how we manage the library, and that's the same way that we did that approach for the agency side. Is the same way that we've approached the library side, where you just got to break down what needs to be done and who owns these roles.
Mm-hmm.
And in the long run, that's helped us kind of grow that out. But one thing we didn't anticipate, and one thing I haven't really did ever before, was building a product around community, like starting the Slack channel and building features based on what community like or what community wants is something that we haven't had experience before. And I think I'm so glad we're learning about that whilst building the Relume library, because I think I've never had, it's just a really cool experience to build a product around communities input. So the Slack channel, obviously, we're going to be working and doing more initiatives there, but the Slack channel, building a product around that's something, insights that I didn't know about before. And I just strongly recommend, if if you move into the product building space, building a community behind the product that you're building changes the game. Just makes things a lot more interesting, and it also makes it a lot more rewarding and satisfying. Besides, obviously, there's cash that you're rewarded with in terms of cash flow, but the insights and what you get to see of how we're solving problems and how we're making people's freelancing and agency businesses better is so cool. Like, that makes me pretty happy, because we were there and we are still there, so we know we know how it feels.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome that you guys are like still have your boots in the ground and know what people are going through, and you can relate to the community, as opposed to like you're this high level C-suite executive and you're just trying to like milk all the cash out of us. Yeah. No, I think it's awesome. I think I think a new thing now, right? I think even like I'm a huge fan of Notion, and even for them, or I guess Webflow's another example, right? Like the company themselves, they may not even actually build a super strong community, but because it's a solid product, the fans of the product build their own community around it. And so like you have like crazy Notion templates everywhere, and then Webflow with FinSuite, they kind of led the charge.
Yeah.
By the way, a quick shout out to FinSuite, and I think just to take a moment, it's like kind of a bittersweet, as most of you guys know the recent news, but I think I'm sure Joe and Reimar has really influenced you guys a lot, and influence the way even I've like kind of set up the stream. So just want to take that moment to honor them, because I think it's good to really pay respects to the key players in the community.
100%. The pioneers in terms of community building, building product around community. And I think Adam and I were really inspired by Joe when he first started out with FinSuite. So we were inspired by that letter that he wrote about his agency. Well, I think I can bring it up, but
cool.
it really changed the way we thought about agency. So I have to find it and share it after. But yeah, definitely, they've played a massive role in the whole Webflow community itself as well.
Very cool. All right, guys. Any other questions? Oh, Mark, membership beta is out. Have you guys started on membership focused layouts? Adam says yes. We have sign up and login pages already, but more stuff. So yeah, how if people want to suggest new components and designs, how do they get involved with, like, I think there's the voting board, but even suggestions, like how's that? How do you guys take that?
Yeah, so in our Slack, we've got a channel purely dedicated for component requests. So guys and girls can definitely submit their inquiries there, or just put in their interest there. And then we also, like you said, we've got the voting board as well. So you can continuously shape up our roadmap, so we continuously build around what the community wants.
Cool. Okay. I think that wraps up this episode. Anything else to share?
Oh, look, if anyone's out there that wants to working on agency or having either a freelancer or a bigger agency, I think from my experience, it's the best thing we ever did. So keep smashing out freelancing agency world, because whether or not it's an awesome lifestyle in terms of in terms of just lifestyle and living. It also gives you so much insights if you want to transition into the world of product after. So it's the best of both worlds. So we're so lucky right now to be in this space, to not only be in the Webflow community as well, because there's so much support as well for agency and freelancers. So there's never been a better time to be an agency or a freelancer right now with Webflow as your main product. So yeah, it's a great time to be alive.
Nice. Kevin's asking, is there an application for the roster
Yeah, so feel free to hit me up.
on
I've got my
Slack?
DMs open. I've got my email, which is Daniel at Relume. So
Awesome.
hit me up if you guys want to get involved.
Fantastic. Okay, I got one last question for you. Business wise, are there any top books that you've read like that has influenced your business game?
It's got to be. It's probably got to be Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb. He really influenced and confirmed the way that I think. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely something that I would recommend. Anti-Fragile.
Anti-fragile. Awesome. All right, guys. Hope you guys got a lot out of it. Oh, Dan, any other how do you summarize today's wisdom of nuggets of wisdom? What can we say?
I can think what I said before. Just continue being an agency because it opens up the doors for so many awesome opportunities.
Got it. Cool. And go for the Dan approach.
Order the
Smash 'em.
chinos. Order the
chinos.
Always order the chinos because you just never know how good you really are until you order the chinos.
Yeah, so good. All right, guys. Thanks so much. All right, we have Penny saying thank you.
Thank you all.
Good times. I have some quick little news to wrap up. Next week is a special week. Actually, sorry, I was kind of building up the whole outro. If you guys, I'm looking for some volunteers. I'm looking up to 10 Figma volunteers. If you guys are pretty good at Figma, you're not beginners, we are going to be collecting some people, and you need to commit for next week's stream, same time. That's going to be a sneak peek for next week. It's going to be super interactive. It's going to be design related. I've never seen it been done, so that's going to be the big hype. So put your names in the chat right now, and I will reach out to you personally. And then what should we? Any announcements? Any upcoming announcements we can share? Not too much, but
not yet.
Not yet.
Still
okay.
coming. Some big ones. Some.
There's some
for
updates.
Component Day, we'll be releasing something. Adam will be releasing something really soon. So stay tuned in announcements on our Slack channel.
All right, guys. Stay classy. Stay awesome. Stay Relume.
Stay Relume.